Sunday will mark 5 years since Superstorm Sandy slammed the East Coast, flattening buildings and causing billions of dollars in damage. Some have been able to rebuild, but there are still many who have not been fully able to recover from the storm in New Jersey alone. The governor's office says roughly 1 in 5 homeowners still haven't been able to move back to the homes that they lost in the storm. Climate change became a topic of national discussion following Sandy, with many environmentalists pressuring coastal cities to do more to prepare for rising sea levels in the years to come. Amanda Devecka-Rinear is the director of the New Jersey Organizing Project and the New Jersey Resource Project, which are working on the issue. She joins me now from Galloway, New Jersey. Amanda, New Jersey was so particularly hit in your report, The Long Road Home. You say that financial resources continue to hamper rebuilding efforts. How has the recovery been in your state?
Hi, Rena. Thank you so much for remembering Sandy 5 years later. It's so important that people understand that families are not home and recovered, and even people that have made it home, they have health impacts and economic impacts that are still with them. So our survey found about 22% of families are still not home. But you know what else we found? That 70% of our respondents have new or worsening health issues. That's maybe anxiety or post-traumatic stress disorder, asthma, or cardiac issues, and that 19% of survey respondents now are more dependent on alcohol and drugs than they were before. This road home has taken a toll on all of us, those that are back and those that are not.
And Amanda, you actually talked with Sandy victims today. What are they saying now that it's been 5 years? What have those 5 years been like?
Yeah, we just had a training down here in South Jersey. So we had some people that are home and some people that are not home. And then even some of the folks at home are getting hit with new problems. The state is doing what we call clawbacks, whereas people try to close out from the state's grant program. Some kind of accounting thing happens that very few people understand, where the state decides people owe from $4,000 I've seen to over $100,000 back, when largely they've used that funding to rebuild or get home or just hang on until they can get there. So that's the new obstacle that families are facing. Most people that we're talking to, 90% of the respondents in our survey, say they do not have the money to repay. It wasn't an accounting error. They don't have $30,000 sitting in their bank account. It was this long road home and the toll that it took.
You mentioned the financial aspect of all of this, but what's been your message also to elected officials on the issue of climate change and rising sea levels?
That is a huge challenge. You know, New Jersey is, I think, the only state that borders an ocean that doesn't have a plan for how to adapt and mitigate and get our communities ready for sea level rise. We know what happened to us in Sandy has the possibility of becoming more frequent for more families across the country, like the folks we saw in Texas or Puerto Rico and Florida. And so we know we've got to do better. We have to be able to adapt and prepare and mitigate, but also we need our disaster systems not to leave people sick and broke. And we've got to learn the lessons from folks like ours, from families like ours in Sandy, and change these policies so that we don't have to go through this again.
Yeah, and maybe if there's one silver lining to this horrible cloud that's been hanging over, is the fact that more attention's being focused on this issue. Thank you for raising it. Amanda Devecka-Rinear, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Rena.